The first scream came from the fog. I wasn't sure if it was human. The sound cut through the gray morning like a knife, sharp and high-pitched, then vanished as suddenly as it had arrived. Silence returned, but it wasn't the same silence. It was watching. I was supposed to guard the North Star 9 oil rig for 14 days. Simple, they said. Isolated, they said. Safe, they said. But standing on the helicopter deck, staring at the skeletal platform rising from the Black Sea, I realized something else entirely. The rig had expectations. The wind clawed at my jacket, and every instinct screamed to leave. But the pilot was already turning the blades, leaving me behind. Alone. On a structure that groaned like a living thing, with steel legs disappearing into the abyss below. I stepped onto the main deck, boots slapping against rusted metal. My flashlight barely pierced the fog. Every sign I passed, peeling warning notices, twisted railings, dangling cables, whispered, "Do not linger." Then I saw the rules. 8 sheets of paper, nailed to the hangar door as if the last guard had left in a hurry, or been stopped. Rule 1. You are not alone on this rig. Do not acknowledge anything that suggests otherwise. My chest tightened. Rule 2. From 110 to 140, do not look out over the east side of the platform. The handwriting was deliberate, careful, yet desperate. Someone had been terrified enough to record every warning, every instruction, every rule. At the bottom, in thick, jagged letters, "It learns you." I laughed. Short, nervous. The kind of laugh you force yourself to make in horror movies. A joke, a prank, a test. I was wrong. As I bent to pick up the rig's logbook, a soft, almost intimate voice echoed from somewhere behind me. Don't answer it. The hair on my arms stood straight. The rig groaned in response, like it was settling in for a long, patient observation. I wasn't alone. And whatever waited in the fog already knew my name. The first rule was nailed to the door of the helicopter hangar. Not taped. Not laminated. Nailed. Rusty iron spikes driven straight through paper and into steel, as if someone had been afraid it might try to escape. I didn't read it right away. The wind was screaming too loudly, an endless, howling thing that came off the sea and slammed into the rig like it hated it. The abandoned oil platform rose from the water like a skeleton pulled halfway out of a grave. Steel legs disappeared into the black ocean below, and the upper decks leaned slightly to the east, forever frozen mid-collapse. North Star 9, the pilot said into his headset. This is as close as I go. The helicopter hovered, blades chopping the fog into ribbons. No other lights. No ships. No horizon. Just gray sky bleeding into gray water. You'll be relieved in 14 days, he added, too quickly. Weather permitting. I nodded, though something cold twisted in my stomach. 14 days. 14 nights. The rope ladder dropped. I grabbed it, boots slamming against the side of the rig as the helicopter pulled away immediately. Immediately, like it had been waiting for the excuse. Within seconds, the sound of the blades vanished into the fog, leaving behind only the ocean and the groan of metal. That was when I noticed the silence underneath the wind. Not peaceful. Expectant. The rig was never truly quiet. Pipes clanked softly. Steel popped as it adjusted to the cold. Somewhere deep below, water moved through hollow spaces, making slow, breath-like sounds. Like something sleeping. I climbed onto the main deck and stood there longer than I should have, just staring. My flashlight beam cut through fog and landed on peeling warning signs, rusted railings, and cables hanging loose like veins torn from a body. This place hadn't been abandoned. It had been left behind. I found the hangar door with effort. One hinge screamed when I pulled it open, the sound so loud it made me flinch. Inside, the air smelled wrong. Old oil. Mold. Salt. Something faintly sweet beneath it all, like rot that had learned to hide. That was when I saw the rules. 8 sheets of paper, yellowed and curling, nailed in 2 neat columns. Someone had taken their time lining them up. Someone careful. Someone scared. I read them slowly. Rule 1. You are not alone on this rig. Do not acknowledge anything that suggests otherwise. My chest tightened. Rule 2. From 110 to 140, do not look out over the east side of the platform. Specific. Too specific. Rule 3. If you hear your name called, it is not for you. A laugh escaped me before I could stop it. Short. Nervous. The kind of laugh you use to convince yourself this is all just a joke. A prank. A test. Companies did weird things sometimes. Psychological pressure. Stress evaluation. I'd worked security long enough to know that isolation messed with people. People heard things, saw things, imagined rules to give shape to fear. Still, my eyes kept scanning the pages. Rule 5. If the lights flicker twice, stay where you are. If they flicker 3 times, run. I didn't notice my hands shaking until I finished reading. At the bottom, beneath the final rule, someone had written a single line in marker. So hard it had almost torn the paper. It learns you. I stepped back, heart pounding, and that was when I realized something else was wrong. The logbook. It sat open on a small metal desk beside the rules, pages fluttering in the draft. I flipped through them, expecting empty dates or routine notes. Instead, the entries stopped abruptly. No end of shift. No handover complete. Just a final line, written over and over across 3 pages. Don't listen. Don't listen. Don't listen. The pen pressure grew heavier each time, the letters collapsing into scratches. I closed the book. The rig groaned beneath my feet, deeper this time, like a long exhale. The sound came from below, far below, where the rig's legs disappeared into darkness. I told myself it was just water, just metal, just echoes. I started my initial walkthrough. Crew quarters were intact but stripped bare. Mattresses gone. Lockers open. Doors scratched on the inside. Long pail marks carved into steel. Not deep enough to be tools. Deep enough to be fingernails. In the mess hall, chairs were overturned in a circle around a table that had been bolted to the floor. Someone had carved lines into its surface. Concentric rings, spirals, symbols that didn't mean anything and yet made my eyes slide away when I tried to focus. My radio crackled. I froze. Static north, do you static? I lifted it slowly. Hello. Silence. Then a voice, close and soft, like it was standing just behind me. Don't answer that. I spun around, flashlight swinging wildly. Nothing. No one. Only the wind, screaming again, louder now, angrier. The radio slipped from my hand and clattered to the floor, the sound echoing far longer than it should have. I remembered Rule 3. If you hear your name called, it is not for you. My name hadn't been said, but something had spoken. As I bent to pick up the radio, the lights overhead flickered once, twice, then stopped. I stood there in the dim glow, heart racing, every instinct telling me to run. Yet nowhere on the rig felt safer than where I already was. And somewhere beneath the metal and water, something shifted, as if it had just realized I had arrived. The rig's heartbeat was subtle, yet constant. I could feel it vibrating through the steel floors in my boots, deep in my chest. It wasn't just the wind or the waves, it was something alive down there, breathing in rhythm with the ocean. I learned quickly to trust the small signs. A tool left on the floor, perfectly balanced, would have been innocuous anywhere else, but here it shifted when I looked away. Doors I'd locked would be slightly ajar the next time I passed. Shadows slid along walls that couldn't have them. The rig watched, even in my absence. The first night, I didn't sleep. The rules insisted on vigilance, but it wasn't the wind or the creaking metal keeping me awake, it was the whispering. I heard it first as an indistinct hum, a voice lost in static. Then my name. Soft, careful, almost patient. Alex. I froze, staring at the dark corridor outside my quarters. Every instinct told me to bolt, but Rule 3 echoed in my head. If you hear your name called, it is not for you. I waited. The sound dissolved into the machinery's groans. My pulse thundered, blood hot in my ears. That night, I counted the rules over and over to keep myself sane. Flashbacks of the rig's past. Days later, while inspecting the lower decks, I found the maintenance logs tucked under a pile of rusted cables. They were old, handwritten, and the handwriting changed. Sometimes neat, sometimes frantic, almost illegible. The entries began innocuously. Routine checks completed. No issues. Then came the warnings. Voices in the control room. Machinery moving alone. One of the night crew disappeared. No trace. Do not look out over the east side. Whatever it is patient. The final entries were frantic, barely coherent. It learns you. It knows you are alone. Do not answer when called. Hide. 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 I realized then that this wasn't just an abandoned rig. It had history. A curse, a haunting, or something worse. Something that fed on isolation and fear. The company had left it to me, and I was its newest subject. Micro-events. The rig escalated in small, almost imperceptible ways. A locker that had been empty now held a single rusted wrench, perfectly centered. I didn't leave it there. The lights flickered according to no pattern I could decipher. Once, twice, 3 times. Rule 5's warning echoed in my mind. If they flicker 3 times, run. I found whispers in the static of the radio, sometimes my own name, sometimes garbled syllables I couldn't understand. Shadows twisted unnaturally, stretching along walls and disappearing into corners, as if the rig itself bent reality. Neighbors from the mainland, fishermen who occasionally passed the rig, warned me. They muttered about past crews disappearing, strange lights flickering in the night, screams carried across the waves that no one admitted hearing. And then there were the symbols. Deep in the lower decks someone or something had carved spirals into the steel. Concentric, deliberate, hypnotic. I traced one with my finger, feeling a cold buzz creep up my arm, as though the metal itself had absorbed some malevolent intent. Paranoia. I began questioning myself. Was it the isolation? The constant fog, the endless gray waves? Was my mind fracturing? But the signs were undeniable. Things moved when I wasn't looking. Shadows weren't just shadows. The rig responded to me. And worst of all, I could feel it learning me. My rhythms. My habits. My fears. The moments of clarity came only briefly, like when I found an old surveillance camera in the control room. It was still functional, but every monitor flickered with static until I saw it. A shape in the corner, barely moving, watching. When I blinked, it vanished, but the feeling lingered. It had seen me. The east side. Rule 2 haunted me. From 110 to 140, I could not look over the east side. I tried once. The fog parted for a moment, and I glimpsed the horizon. A figure stood on the rig's leg, impossibly tall, motionless, just beyond the waterline. No face, only darkness that drank the light. It moved with the rhythm of the waves. I flinched back before the minute passed, heart hammering. It didn't blink. It didn't breathe. It waited. I couldn't tell if it was human. I couldn't tell if it was alive. And then the figure disappeared without moving. The voices. By the 4th night, I started hearing them everywhere. Faint, near, yet impossible to locate. Footsteps in empty corridors. Low murmurs behind locked doors. Doors slammed shut as soon as I approached. Objects moved as if pushed by unseen hands. One night, I swore the rig whispered my fears back to me. You are not alone. We are patient. You will not leave. I started keeping a notebook, writing down every sound, every flicker, every movement. Patterns emerged, or so I thought, but every pattern I found vanished the next day. The rig reorganized itself. It adapted. The breaking point. Paranoia became a constant companion. Sleep was impossible. Every creak, every shadow, every whisper pressed against me. I couldn't distinguish reality from illusion. Then came the scream. A human scream, or something human once, echoing from deep below the platform. It wasn't my imagination. It wasn't the wind. The echo rattled through steel, rattled through me. I ran to the ladder, peering into the darkness beneath the deck. Nothing. Only the black water and the rig's groaning bones. And in that moment I realized, the rig didn't just observe me. It hunted. It had learned me. And it was waiting. The rig had stopped pretending. By the 8th night, I no longer questioned the sounds. The whispers were no longer at a distance. They were inside my head. Soft, insistent, repeating fragments of my own thoughts back to me. You're alone. You're not alone. We are patient. I could feel it in the metal beneath my boots, in the cables snaking along walls, in the water thrashing below the legs of the platform. Everything was alive. Everything watched. The lights began their final warning. Flicker, flicker, flicker. 3 times. My lungs caught. My hand shook. I remembered the rule. Run. Run. There was nowhere to go. Every exit on the rig funneled back to the same metal corridors, the same claustrophobic decks, the same shadows that seemed to grow darker with every step. First encounter. It found me in the control room. I had been trying to lock the doors, to barricade myself behind the consoles. The screens flickered, static first, then shapes. Impossible shapes. Twisted silhouettes that crawled across monitors like ink spilled over glass. I saw it there. Not fully, but enough. A figure, impossibly thin, impossibly tall, with limbs that bent in ways no human limbs could. No face, just darkness, like the horizon swallowed light and left only intent. It didn't move toward me. It didn't need to. The rig itself carried it. And then it whispered, "Alex." I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, to bolt, to throw myself into the sea. But every instinct screamed that there was no escape. I was already inside its territory. I remembered the carvings in the lower decks, the spirals, the lines. It had drawn me in, traced my habits, learned how fear worked on me. The pursuit. I ran. The rig bent reality to trap me. Corridors elongated, doors shifted, stairs led to dead ends. Every step echoed in multiples, as though someone or something followed behind me, copying my every move, staying just far enough away to make panic grow. The whispers multiplied. Voices of previous guards, warning me, pleading. Screams layered over each other, a chorus from the past. It learns you. Hide. Do not answer. I stumbled onto the east deck. Fog clung to the platform like thick skin. My flashlight barely pierced it. And there it was again, the figure. On the waterline, impossibly still, impossibly vast. Darkness moved like a living thing, pooling into shadowy shapes that reflected the rig's structure, yet distorted, alien. I had no choice. I had to look. It moved. Not toward me, toward the horizon. Or maybe toward the rig itself. I couldn't tell. The fog swallowed it, and when it reappeared, it was closer. A soundless approach, yet the air vibrated with pressure. My ears rang. The collapse. I ran into the crew quarters. Furniture overturned, lockers open, mattresses shredded, symbols carved everywhere, now glowing faintly under the dim emergency lights. The rig groaned in response, bending like metal paper. The floors shifted beneath me, throwing me off balance. I tripped and slammed into the wall. My flashlight rolled across the floor, spinning beams of light through the fog and shadows. That's when I heard it, a whisper from right behind me, impossibly close. It always ends like this. I spun. Empty hallway. Just a shadow stretched across steel. My name was whispered again. Then it touched me. Not physically, but somehow it entered me. My thoughts screamed, my body froze, my vision split into fragments. I saw the rig in pieces. The decks warped, water rising through gaps, the legs bending like molten steel. Voices shrieked in chorus, echoing every fear I had ever felt. I ran again, but the rig had changed. I knew every corner, every shadow, every surface. And yet, I was lost. The final confrontation. I ended up back in the control room. Screens shattered into static. The whispers were deafening, shouting fragments of previous entries, rules, warnings, curses. I saw it clearly now. Not a single figure, but many, layered into each other. Former guards, silhouettes, shadows, shapes that had fed on fear. And now me. I was part of it. I screamed, finally, a sound swallowed instantly by the rig. My flashlight flickered one last time and went out. Absolute darkness. Then silence. Not the calm silence of absence, but the alive, expectant silence of the rig itself. Waiting. Watching. Patient. I tried to speak, tried to call out. Only a whisper returned. It learns you. And I understood. It had learned me. My fears. My habits. My very self. Escape was never possible. I was no longer alone, because I was never meant to be alone. And somewhere deep below, in the black water and twisted steel, the rig exhaled. The hunt was over. The rig had won. The rig was quiet. Not peaceful. Not forgiving. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that presses into your chest, makes the air taste heavy, makes the past linger in every shadow. I didn't move for what felt like hours, maybe days. The sea slapped against the platform with the same rhythm as before, but now it sounded different. Hollow, empty, like it was echoing the absence of what had once been. I felt it everywhere. The metal under my hands, the cables twisting overhead, the fog curling against the railings. The rig remembered me. And I remembered everything. When a supply boat finally arrived, weeks late, storm-beaten, I didn't run. I didn't wave. I just stood there, a shadow among shadows. They called my name over the radio, desperate, anxious, unsure. I didn't answer. My mouth opened and no sound came. The crew came aboard cautiously. They didn't see what I saw. They didn't hear what I heard. The rig had already swallowed it all. I walked with them to the helicopter, each step deliberate. My uniform was coated in salt, rust, and something darker that I couldn't name. When they asked if I was all right, I smiled. Small. Empty. Yes, I said. And it was true. But it wasn't the me that had arrived. The me that had stepped onto North Star 9 14 days ago had been replaced. Hollowed out. Measured. Learned. They left, the helicopter rising into the gray sky, leaving me behind. Not abandoned, but left. The rig had no need to chase me anymore. I was already part of its memory, its rhythm, its whispers. I stayed for a while, wandering the decks, listening. Every sound was familiar now. The groan of steel, the slap of waves, the faint murmur of voices that weren't mine. I didn't touch anything. I didn't speak. I just watched. Eventually, I realized I couldn't leave. The helicopter would return, the company would send someone else, but it didn't matter. The rig doesn't care about survivors. It only needs witnesses, and I was perfect. At night, I still hear the whispers, sometimes calling my name. Sometimes repeating rules I never knew existed. Sometimes just laughing softly. And the east deck. I never look over it anymore. I know what's there, even when I don't see it. Patient. Waiting. Always watching. The rig has learned me. I have learned the rig. And together we wait. For the next guard. For the next 14 days. For the inevitable. Because the rig doesn't forget. It never forgets. Even now, when the wind howls and the fog rolls across the steel skeleton, I feel it moving through me, shaping me, reminding me. It is always patient. It is always learning. And I am still here. If you want, I can also create a full image FX safe prompt pack for each section. Hook, introduction, conflict, climax, resolution. With character and setting consistency, ready for cinematic horror visuals. This would give you 4 images per section plus 4 hook-focused images, all consistent with your story.